It started as an easy gig. Watch the dog stay the night, get paid. Simple, right? That's what I thought too. Until I stepped into that house. The ad was straightforward. Looking for an overnight dog sitter. Pays well. House is fully stocked. Just need someone to keep my dog, Charlie, company while I'm away. The pay was more than fair, almost too good, but I didn't question it. I needed the extra cash, and watching a dog overnight. That was practically free money. The owner, a woman named Diane, met me at the door. She was in a rush, stuffing last-minute things into her bag, barely making eye contact as she rattled off instructions. Food's in the kitchen, leash by the door. He likes to go out twice. Once before bed, once in the morning. Don't go outside after midnight. She stopped for a second like she regretted saying that out loud. Just trust me. Keep the doors locked at night. That should have been my first red flag. But I just nodded, chalking it up to an overprotective pet owner. I was used to people being weird about their animals. Charlie was a black lab mix, older, calm but watchful. The moment Diane left, he wouldn't leave my side. His eyes constantly darting toward the windows. I tried to ignore it, making myself comfortable on the couch. The house was nice, but something felt off. The air inside was heavy, like the walls had soaked up years of silence. Around 11, I let Charlie out into the backyard. He hesitated at first, sniffing the air before stepping onto the grass. I stood by the door watching him. The yard was big but bordered by dense trees, the kind that made it impossible to see beyond. Then I heard it. A whistle. Sharp, deliberate. Coming from the woods. Charlie froze, ears perked, body tense. My stomach dropped. It was probably just the wind. Or some late-night hiker, right? But then it happened again, closer this time. The same exact tune. Not random. Not accidental. Someone was out there. I called for Charlie, but he wouldn't move. He was staring straight into the trees, tail stiff, hackles raised. The whistle came a third time, right at the edge of the yard. My breath caught in my throat. Then Charlie turned and bolted for the door, nearly knocking me over as he shoved his way inside. I slammed the door shut, locking it, my hands shaking. Outside the night was silent. No more whistling. No movement. Just the trees, standing still like they were waiting for something. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. Maybe it was just some prankster. Maybe it was nothing. But Charlie, he knew something I didn't. And the way he sat by the door, staring, ears flat against his head. I knew this night was far from over. And I was right. I stood there for a long time, barely breathing, listening. The air inside the house felt colder somehow, like something unseen had slipped in when I shut the door. Charlie hadn't moved from his spot. His body was rigid, eyes locked on the door, ears twitching at the faintest sound. I whispered his name, but he didn't even glance at me. That's when I realized he was listening, waiting. I forced myself to move, backing away from the door and turning on every light in the house. It was stupid, I knew that. A well-lit room wouldn't stop whatever was out there. But somehow it made me feel less vulnerable. I grabbed my phone and checked the time. 11:27 p.m. Not even midnight. Diane's words came back to me. Don't go outside after midnight. Why? I wanted to text her, ask what she meant, but I hesitated. What was I supposed to say? Hey, your dog freaked out because someone was whistling outside? Sounded paranoid, ridiculous. And what if she thought I was making it up to get out of the job? I shook my head, trying to push the thought away. Maybe there was a logical explanation. Maybe some night jogger had passed by, or a neighbor was messing around. Maybe. I sank onto the couch, trying to focus on the TV, but every few minutes, my eyes drifted back to the door. Charlie hadn't moved. His breathing was steady, but his body remained tense. His ears twitched again. This time so did mine. Soft tapping sound. Barely there. Not at the door, somewhere else. I muted the TV. My heart pounded in my ears as I listened. There it was again. Faint rhythmic tapping. Like fingers against glass. Slowly, I turned my head toward the sliding glass door that led to the backyard. The curtains were closed, but I could see the slight movement of fabric swaying, reacting to something on the other side. I swallowed hard. I wanted to believe it was a tree branch, but I'd been outside earlier. There was nothing close enough to touch the glass. Charlie let out a low, guttural growl. His body pressed lower to the floor like he was preparing to pounce. The sound sent a deep chill through me. I grabbed my phone with shaky hands and turned on the camera, switching to video mode. If someone was outside, I needed proof. Holding my breath, I slowly reached for the curtain and pulled it aside just enough to see. The backyard was empty. The trees loomed in the distance, still and silent. The security light cast a pale yellow glow over the grass. Nothing was moving. But Charlie's growl deepened. My hands trembled as I aimed my phone at the glass and hit record. I didn't know what I was expecting. Maybe to catch movement, maybe just to feel less alone in the moment. Then something happened. The security light flickered just for a second, barely noticeable. And in that brief instant, before the light returned to full strength, I saw it. Shadow. Not a person. Not an animal. Just a shape. Too tall, too thin, standing perfectly still at the tree line. The moment the light came back, it was gone. I sucked in a sharp breath, my pulse hammering in my throat. I played back the video, rewinding to the flicker. But the screen was dark. The camera hadn't picked it up. Charlie barked suddenly, loud and sharp. His body lunging forward like he was about to attack. I jumped back, nearly dropping my phone. Then silence. No tapping. No movement. Just the distant sound of the wind rustling through the trees. I took a shaky step back from the door, locking it even though I knew that wouldn't stop whatever was out there. My hands felt numb as I typed out a message to Diane. Hey, I think someone's outside. I heard whistling earlier, and now I keep hearing tapping on the windows. Waited. My stomach twisted into knots as the message showed read, almost immediately. Then, after what felt like forever, she responded. Diane, don't open any doors. Don't respond to anything you hear. Keep Charlie close. I'll explain later. Explain later. That was it. My hands clenched around my phone. Every instinct in me screamed to call the police, but what would I even say? Hi, I think I saw a shadow in the trees, and a dog is acting weird. I let out a shaky breath, forcing myself to think. Diane knew something. That much was clear. And whatever this was, it wasn't normal. I turned back to Charlie. He had finally moved, pressing his body against my legs like he needed reassurance. I ran a hand down his back, trying to calm both of us. The air in the room felt heavier now, thick with something unseen. I could feel it pressing against me, crawling under my skin like the weight of someone's gaze. Checked the time. 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes until midnight. The thought made my skin crawl. I didn't know why, but something told me I didn't want to find out what happened when the clock struck 12. And then, a knock at the front door. Not loud, not hurried, just steady. 3 soft taps. Froze. Charlie's entire body stiffened. His ears pinned back, eyes locked onto the door. His tail tucked between his legs. He made no sound. Another knock. Same rhythm. Then a voice. Familiar. Hello. My breath caught in my throat. It was Diane. Or at least, it sounded like her. Charlie didn't move. He didn't bark, didn't growl. He just stood there, his entire body rigid, eyes locked on the door like he was seeing something I couldn't. The knock came again. 3 slow, deliberate taps. Hello. Diane's voice. Familiar. But something was off. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to breathe. My fingers tightened around my phone. I could call her, confirm if she was really out there, but a deep instinct inside me screamed don't. Charlie let out a low, almost desperate whimper. His body pressed against me, urging me to move away from the door. Another knock. It's just me, the voice said again. I licked my lips, my throat dry. I stepped back, glancing at my phone. Diane hadn't sent any more messages. No text saying she was coming back. No warning. I checked the time. 12:01 a.m. A chill ran down my spine. Midnight had passed. Charlie whined louder, his nails scraping against the hardwood floor as he tried to pull me further away from the entrance. My heart pounded as I reached for my phone and pulled up Diane's last message. Don't open any doors. Don't respond to anything you hear. I stared at the words, my breath quickening. The voice outside, it sounded like Diane. But how could she be here? She had left hours ago, heading out of town. Something was wrong. The knock came again, softer this time, like whoever, or whatever, was outside knew I was hesitating. Please, it's cold out here. Charlie let out a low, rumbling growl, his hackles raised. I forced myself to step away from the door. I moved slowly, my entire body tensed, expecting something, anything to happen. The air in the house felt thick, like a pressure was building, unseen but suffocating. Then, as suddenly as it started, the knocking stopped. I didn't move. My ears strained for any sound. Footsteps, breathing, something. But there was nothing. Just an eerie, unnatural silence stretching through the house. I exhaled shakily and backed toward the kitchen, never taking my eyes off the door. My hands fumbled for a knife, something, anything to make me feel less defenseless. Then, just as I turned, my phone buzzed. I nearly dropped it, my fingers scrambling to unlock the screen. New message. From Diane. Don't trust it. It knows your name. My stomach dropped. I hadn't told her anything about the knocking. I hadn't mentioned the voice. A sharp chill ran through me, freezing me in place. My pulse thundered in my ears. Charlie's growl deepened. He wasn't looking at the door anymore. He was staring at the hallway leading to the back of the house. Something moved. A soft creak, like weight shifting against the floorboards. I wasn't alone. My breath hitched as my eyes darted to the darkened hallway. The lights from the living room didn't reach that far, leaving a long stretch of shadows where the rooms branched off. The air felt different now, charged with something unseen. Charlie stepped in front of me, muscles tensed. His stance protective. Another sound. Not a creak this time, something softer. A whisper. I couldn't make out the words. But it came from the dark. I gripped my phone tightly, my fingers slick with sweat as I slowly backed toward the living room. My thoughts raced, every instinct screaming at me to get out. But then I remembered Diane's warning. Don't open any doors. I was trapped. The whisper came again. Closer this time. My fingers hovered over my phone screen, ready to call for help, when something flashed in my peripheral vision. Shadow. Moving just beyond the hallway. I sucked in a sharp breath. I wasn't imagining this. Something was inside the house. The whispering stopped. For a long, heavy moment the air was still. Then footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming toward me. Charlie lunged forward, barking furiously at the dark. His entire body bristled, teeth bared. I scrambled backward, my hand hitting the edge of the couch. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Charlie's growling filled the room, echoing through the empty space. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear anything else. Then the voice. Familiar. Let me in. It wasn't coming from the door anymore. It was coming from inside the house. Charlie's barks filled the room, sharp and frantic, but I could barely hear them over the pounding in my chest. My fingers tightened around my phone as I turned my head slowly, terrified of what I might see. The voice had come from inside the house. Every muscle in my body screamed for me to run, but I couldn't move. My eyes darted toward the hallway, where the darkness stretched like an open mouth. Nothing moved, but I knew something was there. I could feel it. Charlie's barking turned into deep, guttural growls. His body pressed low to the ground, muscles coiled like a spring ready to snap. He wasn't just scared, he was preparing to attack. Then footsteps. Low. Just beyond the hallway's edge. I sucked in a shaky breath, my body locked in place as I listened. Each step was deliberate, unhurried, like whoever or whatever was inside wanted me to know they were there. Then the voice came again. You should open the door. It wasn't Diane's voice anymore. It was mine. I felt my stomach twist. My knees nearly buckled under me. The sound of my own voice, mocking, empty, wrong, echoed back at me from the shadows. Charlie lunged forward, snapping at the air. His growls turning wild and desperate. My throat went dry. I forced myself to take a step back, then another, my mind racing. Had to get out. But I couldn't open the doors. Diane had warned me. The air in the house was different now. Heavy. It pressed against my skin like a presence, something unseen curling around me, waiting. A sharp knock at the front door made me jump. 3 steady taps. I whipped around, my breath catching in my throat. Let me in. The voice outside was mine too. Charlie's barking turned panicked. He darted between the door and the hallway. His movements jerky, anxious. He didn't know where to focus. Neither did I. I gripped my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. I had to do something. I opened Diane's messages again, my vision blurring as I scrolled back to her last text. Don't trust it. It knows your name. My fingers trembled as I typed. It's inside. The moment I hit send, something changed. A deep, unnatural creak sounded from the hallway, like old wood bending under pressure. My breath hitched. Charlie's barking stopped. His body froze. Something stepped into the light. My stomach turned ice cold. First I thought it was a person, but the longer I looked, the more I realized how wrong it was. It was tall, impossibly thin. Its body stretched like a shadow pulled too far. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle, bones pressing against skin too tight, too pale. And its face. It didn't have one. Just smooth, empty skin where eyes, a nose, a mouth should be. But somehow, even without features, I knew it was looking at me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Then slowly, too slowly, it lifted one long bony hand. And it pointed at me. A whisper slithered through the room. My own voice curling around me like smoke. Let me in. The front door rattled violently. Charlie let out a deep, desperate snarl, throwing his body between me and the thing standing in the hallway. His hackles bristled, teeth bared. His body trembling with fury. I stumbled backward, my heart hammering, my brain screaming at me to run, to do something. Then my phone buzzed. New message. From Diane. If you hear yourself speak, don't listen. If you see yourself, don't run. My breath hitched. See myself. I forced my eyes away from the message, back to the thing in the hallway. But it was gone. The house fell silent. The front door stopped rattling. Charlie's growls faded into soft, confused whimpers. The air still felt wrong, thick with something unseen. But the presence, it had vanished. Or so I thought. Then, from behind me, "It's okay now," froze. Because this time, the voice was Diane's. I didn't turn around. The voice, Diane's voice, was right behind me. Too close. Too calm. The kind of calm that didn't belong here. Not now, not after everything. My entire body locked up. My breath stalled in my throat. Charlie didn't move either. He stood rigid, his body still angled toward the hallway, like he wasn't convinced the thing was gone. His ears flicked, his breathing uneven. "It's okay now," the voice said again. Reassuring. Well, Diane wasn't here. She couldn't be. I gripped my phone, my fingers fumbling as I pulled up her messages again. My last text, "It's inside," still sat there unread. No reply. But something about her last message, "If you see yourself, don't run," kept looping in my head. Slowly, carefully, I shifted my weight, just enough to angle my body toward the reflection in the window. And there she was. Or something that looked like Diane. She stood just a few feet behind me, her posture relaxed, her arms resting loosely at her sides. She was wearing the same sweatshirt she had on earlier, the one with the faded logo, her hair tied back the way she always wore it. Everything about her seemed normal, except her face. It wasn't blank like the thing in the hallway, but something about it was off. Subtle, almost imperceptible. The shape of her mouth too still. Her eyes a fraction too wide. Like she was wearing a mask of herself. My fingers curled tighter around my phone. She took a step forward. Charlie growled again, low and warning. His body pressing closer to my leg. His reaction sent a fresh wave of panic through me. He knew. "You can relax now," she said. "It's gone." Her voice was gentle. Familiar. But the edges of it didn't sit right, like it was mimicking warmth instead of actually feeling it. I forced myself to breathe, to keep my movements slow, controlled. If I reacted wrong, if I ran, would it change? Would it drop the act? I swallowed hard, my mind racing. Think. The front door was still locked. The hallway was empty. The house was silent, except for my own ragged breathing and Charlie's quiet, trembling growls. I turned my phone slightly, just enough to glance at the screen without being obvious. Still no reply from Diane. "How did you get in?" I asked. She didn't answer right away. Then, through the door. My stomach twisted. Well, I hadn't opened the door. I never opened the door. I stared at my reflection, watching hers. She wasn't blinking. The realization nearly sent me over the edge. I forced my voice to stay even. "Which door?" Was just half a second too long. Then she smiled. "You know which one." Charlie lunged. His snarl ripped through the silence as he snapped at the space between us. His body twisting with force. It was the only thing that saved me. The thing that looked like Diane moved. Not backward, not away, but wrong. Too fast, too fluid, like the air bent around it. 1 second it was behind me, then suddenly it wasn't. I spun, stumbling backward, my pulse hammering. The house blurred around me as my vision swam. The lights flickered, casting long, stretched shadows against the walls. Charlie barked wildly, his body pivoting as he tried to track the thing's movement. Then the whisper came again. "Let me in." Not from behind me. Not from the hallway. But from inside the walls. I choked on my breath, my hands gripping the edge of the kitchen counter. My head snapped toward the sound, my ears straining. It was like something was shifting inside the house itself, pressing against the structure, slithering through unseen spaces. And then I saw it. Hand. Pressing through the wall. Not through a doorway. Not around a corner. Through the solid wall itself. The surface stretched like fabric, the shape of fingers pushing outward. Skin-like but not skin at all. Like something was trying to force its way out. Charlie's barking reached a fever pitch. My own breath came in short, panicked gasps as I backed away, my brain struggling to keep up. The hand twisted, fingers stretching unnaturally long, pressing harder against the wall. The whisper came again, curling around me like fog. "I'm already inside." Then the lights cut out. The house plunged into darkness. Charlie's barking turned frantic, his body slamming against my legs as he tried to push me back, away from the wall, away from the thing inside it. My heart pounded in my ears, my breath shallow and ragged. Then the whisper came again. "I'm already inside." The air around me grew thick, suffocating. The walls creaked and groaned, the sound stretching in all directions like the house itself was breathing. My hands fumbled against the counter, searching for anything. Asterisk, a weapon, my phone, something. Asterisk, but all I could feel was the smooth, cold surface beneath my shaking fingers. And movement. The shape in the wall pushed through. The surface stretched, twisted, then split apart like fabric tearing open. And it stepped out. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. It still looked like Diane, almost. But now, in the dark, it was worse. Its skin was too smooth, too perfect, like it wasn't skin at all but something wearing it. The way it moved was unnatural, jerky, shifting between fluid and stiff like it hadn't quite figured out how a body was supposed to work. Charlie lunged, snarling, snapping his teeth, but it didn't even look at him. Its empty eyes locked on me. I took a step back. Then another. Followed. "You let me in," it said. My mind reeled. No, I hadn't. I followed Diane's rules. I didn't open the door. I didn't listen. I didn't run. Then I realized. Phone. Text. Never needed the door. It needed me to acknowledge it. My stomach twisted. My pulse pounded in my skull. My own voice echoed back at me from the shadows. It's inside. That's what I had texted. And the moment I did, I let it in. The thing took another step closer. The walls behind it seemed to ripple, like the whole house was unraveling, shifting between real and something else. The floor beneath my feet felt less solid, as if the space I was standing in wasn't quite a house anymore, but something pretending to be one. I gripped my phone. My fingers flew across the screen, desperate, typing the only name that made sense. It's here. The creature stopped. Its head twitched. Its mouth, too wide, too stretched, opened but no sound came out. A reply popped up. Diane, do exactly what I say. Don't listen. Don't speak. Close your eyes. The thing lunged. I squeezed my eyes shut, barely choking back a scream as a rush of air slammed against me. My body tensed, bracing for impact, but nothing came. Silence. The air around me shifted, the heaviness lifting slightly. I didn't dare move. Seconds dragged by. Then Charlie whined. I hesitated. My fingers shook as I gripped my phone tighter, my breath coming in shallow bursts. I forced myself to peek. The house was still. Me. The thing gone. My knees nearly buckled. I gasped, sucking in a lungful of air like I had just been drowning. The room still felt wrong, like something had been peeled back and hastily put together again. But the presence, it was fading. My phone vibrated. Dan, get out. I didn't question it. I grabbed Charlie's collar and bolted for the door, barely stopping to snatch up my keys. The moment I stepped outside, the night air hit me, sharp and real. I didn't look back. I threw myself into my car, Charlie jumping into the passenger seat beside me. My fingers fumbled against the ignition, my breath coming in sharp, frantic bursts. The second the engine roared to life, I peeled out of the driveway. Only when the house was a distant shape in my rearview mirror did I finally look at my phone again. One last message from Diane. You almost let it win. Next time don't answer. Don't acknowledge it. And whatever you do, never watch the security footage. I stared at the screen, my blood turning ice cold. Security footage. I never turned on the cameras. I swallowed hard, dread curling in my stomach as I scrolled through the app anyway, my fingers hovering over the most recent recording. A deep, sick feeling settled in my chest. The thumbnail wasn't of the house. 'Twas of me, standing at the front door, looking straight into the camera, and smiling. My hands tightened around the steering wheel as I stared at the thumbnail on my phone screen. The image of me, or something that looked like me, smiling at the camera sent an icy shock through my body. My own face, frozen in that eerie, unnatural grin, felt like a cruel joke, a final reminder that whatever had been in that house wasn't done with me. Charlie whimpered beside me, his ears twitching, but he stayed close, his warm presence the only thing grounding me. My fingers hovered over the video. Every part of me screamed, don't watch it. Diane's warning flashed through my mind. Never watch the security footage. I swallowed hard, my breath shaky. My thumb trembled as I locked the phone screen and tossed it onto the passenger seat. Whatever was in that video, whatever had been watching me, I didn't need to see it. I already knew enough. The road stretched ahead, dark and endless. The town was still miles away, and my brain felt too scrambled to figure out where to go next. I couldn't go back to that house. I wouldn't. But what now? My hands clenched against the wheel as I forced myself to think. Then, I had to find Diane. She had been trying to warn me from the beginning, and now I needed answers. More than that, I needed to know if I was safe. If it was really gone. I pressed the call button on my steering wheel, my heart thudding in my chest as I waited for the line to connect. It rang once. Hey, where are you? Diane's voice was sharp, urgent. I don't know. Driving toward town. I left. My voice shook more than I wanted it to. It's gone. I think. A heavy silence followed. You think? I gritted my teeth, swallowing down the nausea curling in my gut. I didn't look back. I just ran. Diane exhaled, something like relief mixed with exhaustion. Good. That's the only reason you made it out. I hesitated. What was that thing? Another pause. Then softly, I don't know. My stomach twisted. But I've seen it before, she added. Not just here. Other places. Other people. Finds a way in. Sometimes through doors. Sometimes through reflections. Sometimes. Her voice dropped. Through you. A chill raced down my spine. My knuckles went white against the wheel. I didn't want to ask the next question. But I had to. How do I know it's really gone? Diane's voice was quiet. You don't. The weight of those two words pressed against my chest, squeezing the air from my lungs. But listen, she continued, her tone firm. You left before it could finish what it started. That's the only reason you're still you. But it doesn't like unfinished things. I swallowed. So what do I do? Beat of silence. Keep moving, she said finally. Don't go back. Don't stay in one place too long. And whatever happens, never let it in again. The line went dead. I gripped the phone, staring at the blank screen like it might somehow give me more answers. My heart pounded, my thoughts racing in 100 directions at once. Charlie shifted in the seat beside me, letting out a soft, tired sigh. I turned my eyes back to the road. Keep moving. That's what Diane said. That's what I had to do. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know if I'd ever feel safe again. But one thing was clear. I was never going back to that house. And I was never watching that video. Because deep down, I already knew what I would see. I knew that whatever had been at the door, whatever had been in the walls, whatever had been pretending to be me, was still watching.